When it comes to companies using AI, we are probably here when it comes to the current hype about AI. I'm not sure if we reached the maximum, the top yet, but we definitely are at a very high point. Now, obviously, I'm kind of no exception. I create a lot of content about AI. I have courses on AI, courses on Codex, Claude Code, and much more because it is a thing. It is useful. It's changing how we build software. There is no way around it. And I mean, I have made it very, very clear how I feel about AI for coding and that I personally had more fun, that I enjoyed writing code before we had AI. But it is what it is, and of course, nothing's stopping me from still writing code by hand. But if you're doing serious development work, if you're building software, yeah, AI can make you more productive, and not using it is a valid choice, but in most cases, probably not the right one if you're doing it professionally. That is my opinion, at least. Now, that does not change, though, that we are really at a top point regarding hype regarding AI in companies, and maybe we'll go to even higher heights. Now, of course, when I say AI in companies, I'm fully aware that there is technically not an endless amount of companies, but there are, of course, many, many companies all over the world, and the use of AI is not evenly distributed. And of course, I'm also mainly talking about tech, about software-oriented companies here. But when we talk or when we look at the use of AI in companies, there are a couple of interesting and kind of worrying trends we have to talk about, we have to look at. One big trend we saw over the last couple of weeks, or we heard about the last couple of weeks, is, for example, token maxing. Token maxing, of course, means that for some companies, more AI use is better. That's it. There are reportedly companies that had or have internal leaderboards that track how many tokens their software developers or employees in general spend on AI. And well, that is a bit like tracking just the lines of code you generate as a measure of how good you're doing. It's a bad measure, of course, and I probably don't need to tell you that. It should be pretty obvious that just spending a lot of tokens is not a good measure to measure how productive you are. I mean, for one, it's easy to game. You can just send pointless prompts to the AI or have it do pointless, meaningless work, and that allows you to max out your tokens. But even if you're not doing that, which developer is probably better? The one that puts some thought into a problem, that analyzes the result the AI gives them or suggests, and that analyzes the code, or the vibe coder that just prompts away and produces tons of tokens and output? For some companies, it seems to be number two. For me, it's definitely number one. I think the magic thing about the AI, and where you really can get a lot of use out of it right now, is if you do combine your expertise with the advantages of AI, which of course are that you can move fast, that you have an infinitely patient mentor where you can ask questions, that you can kind of combine two brains, though you should really trust your brain a bit more in most situations. Yeah, you can get advantages out of AI, but token maxing is probably not it. But it is a trend we see or we heard about in some companies, though, of course, now that it got public, some of these companies, like Meta, for example, already announced that they were kind of getting rid of that leaderboard or of that strong incentive to max out tokens. But it still is a thing for some companies out there, as it seems. Another trend I saw more and more over the last week is that there are companies like McKinsey that really like to push the narrative of AI agents as employees. So the McKinsey CEO here said that they would have 60,000 employees, where 25,000 of them are AI agents and only around 40,000 are humans. So AI agents as workforce is something I've also seen here and there. And yeah, of course, that is one way of looking at it, I guess. But then again, I don't know. I mean, for one, right now we're at a point in time where most all AI agents are pretty specialized regarding what they can do, whereas humans tend to be more versatile in what they can do and what they can be taught. So I'm not sure if that comparison really makes a lot of sense. I mean, who would have thought of calling your backup script an employee that you might have had in 2018 already, right? So we had automations, we had workflows before AI, and that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we have automated deploy processes, backup processes, web scrapers, data analysis processes. We have all kinds of automations, and we have them for 10, 20 years or longer. But now it's the AI agents that we call parts of the workforce. And don't get me wrong, you can do useful stuff with AI agents. I'm personally not fully on board with the OpenClaw hype because I personally still am not able to get a lot of useful usage out of it. I haven't found those use cases that really are magical to me when it comes to OpenClaw, but I am using Claude Code and Codex for coding, but also for more than that. I am using the Pi agent, which is an open source independent AI agent that you can, for example, use with your ChatGPT subscription. I am using that for doing all kinds of stuff on my machine or on my VPS to have it analyze log files. Is that an employee? I'm not so sure, though. It's a useful tool for sure. And I wouldn't even know how to count that. If I have 2 employees and each of them is using this agent, are that then 2 additional employees, or is the agent still just one employee used by multiple other employees? I don't know, but yeah, this is something you also see here and there, and obviously there is a lot of marketing involved here. Obviously, you wanna be the company that knows how to do AI and that is on the forefront of getting the most out of AI, and obviously that is a narrative that would benefit a consulting company like McKinsey. So I get it where they're coming from, but that is, yeah, it's a weird trend. I will say that. For sure. Another interesting trend I saw is kind of related to the token maxing, I guess. It's mandated use. Now, with that, however, I don't mean that you're required to use AI as much as possible, but you are forced to use it. Often, or in some cases, also specific models or agents. So that is something that goes hand in hand with that mandated use in some companies out there, at least. And this is a point I do get to some degree, because I do understand that as a company, you want to make sure that your employees experiment with this new technology and try to find out where it's useful, because I think there is a decent amount of people that used ChatGPT, the free version, a couple of months back or anything like that, or they use it here and there, and it's okay, but it doesn't seem super impressive. And especially amongst the normal people that are not in this tech bubble, the share of people that are in that bucket, that don't regularly use cutting edge models, is very likely very, very high. So I get why companies want to incentivize or push you to actively use AI, to give it a try to use it in your day-to-day work. And that works best, of course, if you then also get access to the more capable models. I mean, if I force you to work with an AI model that's 2 years old, that doesn't have any extra capabilities because it's not running in any harness that would give it those capabilities, that would be pretty meaningless. But I do understand why companies want employees to play around with AI. Now, needless to say, some companies are definitely pushing too far, and there is no sense in forcing employees to do everything with AI. And I think you should also try to trust your employees when they tell you that a certain task can't be done with AI, or at least can't be done better with AI. But of course, I understand that companies can also doubt whether employees really engaged with AI. And it's easy to push back against a new technology, obviously also because many people are afraid. And how wouldn't you, with Dario Amodei basically going onto a talk show or interview every week telling people that the vast majority of white-collar workers will lose their jobs? I get it. Many people are afraid, so it's easy to push back against AI, but I've said it before in other episodes, and I strongly believe in it. The only way to deal with this new technology, just as with all new technologies in the past, is to really embrace it and try to get the most out of it. That does not mean that you want to blindly trust it. That does also not mean that you want to use it for everything. But it means that you should seriously try to use it to see where it can help you, that you want to push it to the limits. And especially with AI, where everything is changing so rapidly all the time, you really also want to reevaluate regularly, every few months or so, because things change. The models change, but more importantly, and I've said that in other episodes too, but more importantly, the harnesses, the tools around these models also evolve. The agents, the agentic harnesses in which these models run, so to say, those also evolve. And therefore, it's very likely, or it's possible, that you can do something today with AI that you couldn't do a couple of months back. So I get this, but it's of course clear that some companies are taking this too far and forcing employees to do something with AI that just doesn't work with AI, or where you're more efficient without AI, of course, is kind of overshooting that target of incentivizing the workforce to use AI. But yeah, this is where we are. That is the weird state in which we are right now. And I have not really been part of earlier technological revolutions we went through in the past. I mean, sure, the internet, the mainstream adoption of the internet happened whilst I was alive, but I was a child back then when the internet became a thing. So I wasn't part of the workforce. It's very likely pretty normal for things to be rough and weird whenever such a transition or evolution happens. Of course, with AI, it is probably especially rough because everything is going so fast, and due to it going so fast and the way it works and what people like Dario tell you all the time, it's also super frightening. So yeah, all these things combined, it makes a lot of sense that things are very, very weird. And again, as I mentioned before, for me, definitely too, I had more joy in the coding part before AI was a thing. But here we are. And yeah, definitely right now, many companies are here. And we'll see if we continue like this, or if you find a more meaningful, reasonable path forward where we can really try to get the most out of AI instead of just using the most AI without the use part.